Hey everyone! Thank you for taking the time to join in with Uncommon Women Podcast, a dope podcast to bring light to reality from real life people sharing real life stories with a host of women having real life talk, the good and the bad, with no judgment. Uncommon Women's Loyalty is here to support those that need a safe space to speak their truth and rawness to the world. Tune in, relax, take notes, and let's vibe. Here are your hosts, Uncommon Women.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Uncommon Women. My name is Shanera, and we are kicking off season 7. I am super excited to be able to be back on this platform. We had a little break, readjusting for the new season. And I missed you guys. I missed podcasting. I missed having my guest speakers come on, sharing their stories. So it's definitely been a nice little break. But without further ado, we are kicking off season 7 with a friend of mine, a wife, a mother of 4, a realtor, a woman of all traits. You do not want to miss this testimony. She's a podcast host as well, advocate, MC. When I say she does it all and she does it gracefully, that is all we are going to be hearing about today. And she's comical. Like, she definitely should audition to be on the tour with Cat Williams because I love her. But without further ado, we have Yazzie Austin that's going to be coming on today with us to share her testimony. Hey,
Yazzie. Hey. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So before we get into, the juiciness, the tea, the testimony, can you tell us a fun fact about yourself that everyone doesn't know?
So because I'm an open book, this is actually a hard question for me. I tell everybody everything. But I think, so I know I'm afraid of heights, okay? Like, my husband has a desire to jump out of airplanes and I'm terribly afraid, right? But I have a desire to be pushed. So anything that I'm afraid of, I actually have a desire to face that fear. But don't tell my husband, because I'm not jumping out of no airplane.
Listen, he gonna see the episode. What you mean? Don't tell your husband.
I don't really want to do it.
So how long? So maybe like the 10th anniversary, you guys do it where you jump out of an airplane, or you like to be pushed? You gotta get him to push you out the airplane.
Let's say 5th anniversary. Okay. The bones will still be good.
Okay, and we got receipts today. We got receipts.
Yeah, well, heart is in good condition. So let's do 5-year will be better.
Okay.
10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm super excited to hear how you guys met. But before we get into it, we get into the tea. Can you tell us a little bit about, yourself and how was your life growing up?
Sure. So growing up, I am born and raised Coatesville, PA. Hi, baby. My honey's here. Born and raised in Coatesville, PA. Both my mother and father were veterans. And, when I was younger, I had a beautiful, great childhood. I would say more introverted than most. I had a lot of time spent indoors. I would watch Mad TV and the Golden Girls. So I was probably not doing everything others were doing, but, eventually I branched out a little bit more. So I'd say I had a pretty normal childhood, 80s baby. My parents were unfortunately afflicted by addiction. Okay. And, it of course affected their relationship with me and obviously everybody, right? And we're in great company, as Black people in that generation. So they both, moved on from that by the grace of God and, raised me to be loving and strong. And, I learned a lot from my experiences growing up. It definitely shaped who I
am. So where did the transition come from you being, an introvert and being in closed doors to being this blossoming woman that tells it all.
So part of me being on Doris, like I had an infatuation with acting. Like, so my first love was singing and acting. That's the first and only thing I ever wanted to do. And then I, you know, because of the dynamics, like I said, with my relationship with my mother and father, and my environment, you know, I related to a flower, not really knowing it's a flower. You need adequate soil, you need adequate water, you need sun.
Right.
You know what you need, right? So I feel like there were components that weren't really nourished. So I shut a lot of things down. You know, I suppressed myself for a lot of my life. So I have done a lot of work healing myself. And the first step of that, and I have to credit this to being an NA baby, right? And if you don't know, NA is Narcotics Anonymous. As I said, both my parents were addicts. They went through the NA program. And while I was there, I was 6 months Yazzie. People can attest to that. So every time somebody would say who has 6 months, I was a big old fat baby. I'm gonna raise my hand. So it's people still now that know me as 6 months Yazzie. But the first step to recovery is admitting that you are an addict.
Yes.
Right. And I just fell in love with the premise of accountability and ownership. So I realized that I was accountable for the things that I did and did not do, irregardless of my experience, my environment. So I learned to build a bit of fortitude to express myself, you know, whereas before I did suppress and swallow myself with a lot of things. But I realized that you can't heal what you don't reveal. So how did that come about? I don't know. I would say my journey to healing. How did that come about? I don't know. I know I needed to heal. You know, I was like, you broken, girl. You got some stuff going on. You know, so I had to identify some things and work on them.
I love that. I love that. So let's get into the transition of healing, because obviously the good thing about healing is you were able to meet your one, your husband. How did that story, or how did that transition take place?
Very, very unorthodox story. And I'm going to be very, very real about it, because I think that would make for a juicier segment, right? So why not? This is for you. I'm being very honest to you guys. So I had my first daughter when I was 16 years old. I had her so young that it wasn't feasible, realistic, or appropriate for me to continue having children. So I worked my butt off. You know, I maintained honors classes, even though I had her in high school. I spoke at my graduation, and I think I probably gained a little confidence there, being the commencement speaker, you know, as far as speaking publicly.
Yeah.
You know, but because it wasn't realistic for me to have any more children, there was a 13-year gap between my first and second child, more than 13 years. So I ended up asking my first daughter's father if he wouldn't mind being the father of a second child. I didn't think I'd have any more children. And I said very early on, I'd either be married or I'd have another baby to him.
Yes.
Right? And I just didn't foresee any more children. So I ended up having my beautiful daughter, who's now 7. My oldest is 20. She'll be 21 in March.
Wait, you got a 21? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. You know, that black.
Thank you, Lord. So I had her. 5 months later, the craziest thing happened. I have to tell you the story. So I walked into single momhood for the second time, essentially, is what I'm telling you guys. I walked into it. And 5 months after I had my daughter, I told a story to my aunt. I was on the phone. We were having girl time, just as you and I are talking right now. And we were talking about crazy experiences. And I had mentioned to her that about 6 years prior, this is either 2011 or 2012.
Okay.
There's a restaurant in Westchester called Kuma. It's a sushi bar, restaurant. They had a little music.
Okay.
That's right. So I'm there with my girlfriend. She's in the bathroom. I'm waiting for her in the hall. So I'm just standing there. And this attractive man who I have seen in passing, but he never kind of locked eyes with me, because I always like, you know, if you look at him, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Right? So I don't look at no guys.
Yeah, eye contact, yes.
Right? So he's not fooling with me previous to this. But this night, I'm standing in the hall. He is visibly intoxicated. I'm sorry, baby, but you were visibly intoxicated. He stands in front of me, turns his head like this, and he walks toward me and kisses me. And I'm talking about like Fabio, okay? Like I couldn't believe it.
You kissed back then.
Well, here's the thing. I had always thought he was cute, okay? Just because I didn't look at him didn't mean I wasn't attracted to him, okay? I just kept it tight. I had to keep it together, okay? So yeah, I kissed him back, okay? And
no judgment, no judgment.
This is once in a lifetime experience. This will never happen to me again. And it hadn't. He walked away. I didn't see him for another 6 years.
Wow.
This
no conversation after the kiss?
Nothing. I mean that. Like not even any Facebook, excuse me. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think later, years later, we started following each other on social media. But previous to that, I was speaking to my aunt May 19th, 2017. And I told her what I just told you guys. This crazy guy kissed me, walked away. I ain't seen him in 6 years. I hang up the phone and I prayed for him. I remember very, very clearly. I said, God, what's up with this man? Is he a good guy? If he's a good guy, you should go ahead and put him in my life. Okay.
This is getting good. I ain't got no tea, no nothing, but go ahead.
Listen, and it's all factual. Okay. 4 hours later, I'm pre-gaming with the same girlfriend at her house. This is 5 months after I had my daughter. It's my first time going out. I'm excited. Okay. We pre-game at her house. He was convinced to go there by his best friend and his cousin. He walks up the stairs. We lock eyes. My heart goes into my stomach. He glides over to me. I mean, he walked, but he glided. It makes it a better story. And, we have been locked in ever since. That was 2017.
Wow.
Now, what's even crazier is my husband, previous to our relationship starting 2 years, he had been in remission for a year, had randomly gotten acute myeloid leukemia. He was diagnosed, by the grace of God. He's been in remission. He's healthy. He's wonderful. We all good, right?
Right.
But during that time, we did not think that he would have children. Okay. But look, I got a 5-month-old baby. Here you go.
Yes.
Okay? He was fantastic at fit. We were rolling. Easter Sunday, 2019, we find out we're pregnant. I go to the doctor.
Yes.
He says, you're not going to believe this. You're due on Christmas Day. Right. So
okay, Mary.
First of all, find out on Easter Sunday that the baby is due on Christmas. What am I thinking? This is baby Jesus.
Jesus. Right.
You got the wrong one. Right? So we never found out the sex of this baby because we were so excited. We're like, this is our one baby. It's Christmas Day. I go into labor. I tried to have this child at a birthing center. They must have got tired. They sent my butt home. And I had my daughter in my bedroom in the wee hours of the morning. After Christmas. Natural.
Wow.
I did. We could delve more into that story, but we don't have enough time. So that's that. Fast forward to 2020. My husband and I said, screw this pandemic. And we got married August 8th, 8/8/2020. And my son will be 3 April 20th. So we had another baby, and this is my one and only boy. So God has just been showing out.
Yes.
I have absolutely no expectations, but I am immensely grateful every single day. I'm in a constant state of gratitude.
I love that.
Yeah.
So being a mother of 3?
4.
4. I missed one. Sorry.
27, 4, and 2.
Being a mother of 4.
Yeah.
How is your relationship with your mother now?
Now it's better than it's ever been. I think before we weren't able to, heal from things that we didn't acknowledge were toxic. you know, we needed to do some work on ourselves. And the biggest thing has been that we shifted from expectations of each other to what we desire for ourselves.
Right.
You know, and out of that, you get, and everybody should implement in the world, that it doesn't matter what you want from other people. It literally only matters what God wants from you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So we kind of shifted from expectations of each other. I don't need you to do this. I want you to. Who am I to you? You know, and in order to do that, I have to honor myself by acknowledging the bad and the good. Yes, I'm amazing and awesome, but guess what? I got my stuff with me too.
Yes,
you know, and yes, you have your triggers, but I'm stepping on them. And I know you well enough to acknowledge your triggers. You know what I'm saying? And I love you more than that. So we put all of that aside and, you know, we own ourselves. We are accountable. And that to me is just, it's a beautiful relationship. And I couldn't be more grateful.
I love that. I love that. So many of us, not just you, many of us come from dysfunction in the past. And then we try to, you know, create our life.
Yeah.
And our well-being.
Yeah.
Differently than how we were raised. How is life, you know, juggling as a mom, wife, and working on your end?
Yeah. Everything is a balance.
From what you've seen, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So I give myself immense grace. I try to give others grace. Okay. I'm a little pushy, right? Because I think everything is a balance, everything in moderation.
Right.
You know, you can drink a little bit, but you don't got to be alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? So everything in moderation. I believe in patience and fortitude. So there are times when I know I need to rest because rest is a part of my process and my progress.
Yes.
Sometimes I can't move forward unless I stay still. And sometimes you need to slow down in order to go faster. You know what I'm saying? So I'm conscious of when those times are, when I need to pour into certain entities, when my husband needs my time, when my children need my time, when I need my time, you know, and I value all of it, you know, so I give myself grace. I'm patient, but I also have fortitude to get things done when necessary, you know, so there's no rush. I don't dwell on yesterday and I don't hyper focus on tomorrow. I'm present in the moment. And that allows me to kind of handle whatever is in front of me with more grace. Not all the grace, because everything is a practice. I've mastered nothing. But just staying in the moment allows me to handle what's in front of me. And God takes care of everything else.
I love that. So let's speak on that. What things did you have to work on with yourself? We're going to be real transparent. You know,
I love this. Yeah.
What is some of the things that you had to work on that you know you had to work on?
Yeah.
To be a better wife, to be a friend and a better person to your husband. Or before you even met your husband. Let's go into that transition. Before you met him and then after you got married.
So, especially when I was younger, and I had to, again, this is my journey of healing. I had to realize this about myself. I absorbed everything I was given. So whatever you told me I was, I believed it. Now, the problem with that is people will serve you, please forgive me. And you told me I couldn't curse, so I'm going to censor this. Poop on a paper plate.
There we go.
That's what they'll serve you. And they will bring it to you with a smile, right? And before, to accommodate others, I would eat it and I would ingest it, even if it wasn't real, if it was wrong, if it was a part of their toxicity, I believed it. I couldn't separate their stuff from my stuff.
Yes.
But I healed myself. I'm healing myself. And I realized I'm walking around serving peace on a platter. I don't got to eat nobody's poop. You know what I'm saying? So I kindly declined it. So now I have discernment about what I allow and, you know, what I absorb. And I'm more aware of myself than I've ever been, you know? So, you know, it's interesting. Growth is a very interesting thing.
And it definitely starts with accountability, because how are you going to be able to heal and process through trials and tribulations if you're not accountable in the areas of where you have your own flaws.
So you have to be, it's a balance, right? So for me, it's like, I am very humble. I really am. But I acknowledge my greatness because God has called me to be great. It really doesn't have much to do with me as it does God.
Yes.
Right? Because he has put these things in me. So I learned to separate what he's put in me from what man has put on me. Because man will put some things on you that you ingest and you swallow. And I'm like,
how to handle yourself.
That's not real. That's their mess. They're trying to put that on me because they see me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't swallow everything now. I don't absorb everything now. I am very careful about what I absorb. And I believe boundaries are blessings. So implementing those things has been beautiful.
So can you give us a little tea about being a wife? You know, this is your first time being married, first and last. Speaking it into existence. But what is some things that you realized you had to work on with yourself?
Yes, we did. Okay. So separating what man put on me from what God put in me so I can be great. But also, and this is what I would say to any woman who would like to be married and is kind of like, the dating pool got pee in it, like I'm done and this and right. And I understand and I feel you, okay?
It's bad out here, but go ahead.
Listen, I know it is. And you truly have my thoughts and prayers, and I feel you. I'm rooting for you, for real. And he is out there. This went for me, and it goes for you. You have to identify and extinguish your toxicity. Men have plenty of yellow flags, okay? But your yellow flags are tucked in your back pocket. You don't see them, but they there. You got yellow flags too. You know what I'm saying? So have some discernment about yellow flags and red flags. Acknowledge your toxicity, the root of it. Why do I respond this way? Do I take the time to respond or do I fly off the handle and react? Because life is 100%. You're either reacting or responding. You are in control of nothing.
Right.
You don't even know when you finna hiccup. Hello. Okay. So it doesn't matter like checking him or changing him. You have to lead, by your actions. And inevitably, if you treat yourself better, your response to things, you show people how to treat you.
Yes.
So if you do that, you start to change your ways, you'll see how many people start to change around you. People either fall in line or they fall off. And either way, they end up where they're supposed to be.
That's very powerful. Very powerful. Did you have a tug of war within yourself when you started realizing, like, you know what? I got some things I need to focus on or work on in myself, and I'm already married?
No, I love working on myself. I don't ever strive for perfection, but I do love getting better. I love accountability. I love humility. I love checking myself. Yazzie was wrong. My bad. I did not mean to do that. Seriously, because for me, it's like, for me personally, it feels like it brings me closer to God.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like less me, more him. Who am I not to be wrong? Who am I not to, you know what I'm saying? Have made a mistake. I'm not above that. Nobody is. The problem is people really have things wrong. They have the audacity to be forgiven by God over and over and over again and not forgive other people. Who do you think you are? For real, humble yourself. So for me, like, no, I love to be humbled and, I appreciate it.
That's some good gems there. What other advice could you give to women that's, looking or waiting to be married? And let's be transparent. If you could throw some things out there that you've noticed being a wife, what are some things that men need to work on as well?
All right. Well, let me say this first about the ladies. And this is really crazy, but I have to say it because it's me. Pretty might get you there, but sexy might keep you there. I'm not going to say that's always the case, but don't ever lose your sexy, ladies. Okay. Continue to fall in love with yourself. better yourself, take care of your body, and do things for you first, and everybody else will admire what you do. You know what I'm saying? Men, same thing. Identify and extinguish your toxicity. Men have daddy issues. Men have mommy issues. They have the same things that we have. It's a different, boat, different paddle, but they definitely go through things and need to be heard and acknowledged. And they have traumas that they are built to suppress, but nobody is built to suppress a trauma. We are built to, I believe, learn from the trauma and be built from the trauma. But if you swallow it and don't do anything with it, I don't think that you leave room for God to do anything with it. I think you need to give your trauma and give it your pain to God so that he can use it for your greater good. You'll start to use that pain. You'll start to use that trauma, and you'll start to be somebody else, and, don't be too hard on yourself. I think men, especially Black men, are very hard on themselves. You have to give yourself grace, and don't let anybody dictate what is healthy for you or for your well-being. You need to decide that for yourself. And don't get lost in your family and your wife and your children. I tell my husband all the time, your passions matter, your happiness matter, your sanity matters for us secondarily, but for you first. So pour into you for others.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And I believe that, once we get into that transition of learning that identity, we won't fall for anything. The boundaries will be there. Your standards are going to be higher, and you'll be able to walk into that place of finding your significant other.
100%.
What is your perspective on what God has for you is for you?
So I have been called to do a lot of different things by a lot of different people because they saw that I fit wherever they wanted me to go. You would be you do, right? So I jumped on a lot of things when I was younger because I was just trying to figure out
who you are.
I felt like I was just here, there, and everywhere. I was so, invested in so many different things. I had no direction. Now it's so funny because when I was younger, I wanted things to happen so fast. Now that I'm older, they come when they come. I am in no rush at all. I'm so rested in God not rushing me. I think it is a detriment to my peace for me to rush myself about anything. Now, I have visions. I have ideas of where God wants me to go, but I used to count the steps. I don't do that anymore. And I acknowledge every day that I contribute to people, that I love people, that I do not suppress myself because suppression is a form of depression. I am taking another step toward what God has for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's never going to be over. He's going to have something for me every single day of my life. So I can't miss right now by worrying about tomorrow. So I stay in the present. I stay in the moment. Like I said, I practice staying in a constant state of gratitude just so I don't miss what God has for me in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes what he has for me is who I am to others. Who am I going to be right now? Because it don't matter what you're doing. It matters who you are while you're doing it. So sometimes what God has for me is for me to be a better person to others.
I love that. I love that. And with you being, not only better for others, but how did you get to a place of being comfortable in your own skin, especially being a teen mom, because people judge at the end of the day. How did you get past the naysayers talking about, you being a teen mom before you got to where you're at now?
I think that at first it probably was very bothersome because I felt like I let everybody down. Like I said, I tried to be very studious and, I didn't see for myself being a teen mom. It wasn't anything that I walked into at that time. Like, it was kind of like, oh my God, like this is real, because I was really young. I was captain of cheerleading. And it was funny because I was on the homecoming court, right, back then. And there were parents who said they would protest if I won because I didn't represent the school well as a teen mom. Now, I
Wow.
just told y'all that I went back, maintained my honors classes. I didn't miss a beat. 6 weeks, I was straight back. I worked, and I still wasn't a good look for the school. So, it was hurtful. And there have been a lot of different instances where I have been ashamed or embarrassed. But I've also been empowered, that my difference is what makes me so special, that who I am today, couldn't be had it not been for 16-year-old Yazzie who said, I'm going to make this happen. Okay. I might be hungry, heartbroken, hopeless, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. And that's the only thing that matters. So I try to focus on who I want to be, regardless of what others see from me or what they want from me, because I'm never going to fit that, So they're either going to love me or they're going to hate me, but they're going to respect that it's real.
I love that. I love that. I love your transparency too, because
Yes,
I'm sure, it wasn't easy being
No,
a
it was
teen
not.
and people protesting over, a situation that was already at hands that you could no longer control. So I definitely love your transparency in regards to that. We are going to take just a quick commercial, and then we're going to get into what you're doing now for the community, where life is now, and we're going to talk about this podcast that you got going as well.
You were on me like white on ride, child. Okay.
Have you recently started a business? Maybe looking to get more exposure? Are you interested in taking your business to the next level? Let Uncommon Women podcast further assist you with our business and brand promoting packages. For more information, please email us at uncommonwomenpodcast.com or reach us directly on one of our social media platforms so we can further assist you. And always remember, stay uncommon.
Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. So if you're just tuning into Uncommon Women, we are interviewing Yazzie, where she's expressing, how she met her husband from a kiss. Yeah, her girlfriends. Yes, a kiss out with her girlfriends. And who would have known, 6 years later that they would be married with 4 beautiful children. Her story is very impactful. So you guys have to definitely tune in to hear all the details in regards to it. And she is the definition of, not letting her past dictate where she's going and where she's going to be in the future. So let's get into, how you became a realtor and, what are you necessarily doing as being a realtor in this day and age?
So right now I am actually dual career. So as soon as I had my daughter right out of high school, I went to school for a medical assistant. I told you guys, right? So I've always had like a medical background, and I've always had an interest in real estate. But when I first was approached about real estate, it was from somebody who was studying 10 years ago. And it was like calligraphy to him, right? And he was like, it's so hard, don't do it. So I was like, I didn't have the mind capacity, right, to do that at that time. And I knew that about myself. So I backed off, stayed in the medical field. And currently I work as a collections lead, soon to be supervisor. Pray for me, y'all.
You are?
Yes. It's already done, right? Collections lead for an oxygen therapy company. I've been doing that for a few years. And that's where I was recently awarded the Make a Difference Award. Right. But this company has also allowed me the opportunity to work during the day and study at night. So 2 years ago, I decided to do just that. My children are young. I want to work for my last name, not my first name.
Come on.
And come on, somebody. So, my premise is to contribute to all of God's people, obviously to my family and absolutely to yours. So, real estate is a great opportunity and segue to do that. Plus, we, can benefit from home ownership. So as far as what I do within the community, I have partnered with several organizations within the community to bring light, educate participants about the home buying process, primarily first-time home buyers. It has been incredibly successful, my workshops and seminars, and I plan to continue, obviously, be of service in any way. I believe that, Muhammad Ali said it, that your service to others is the rent you pay to live on this earth. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard, because I have just a giving spirit. I love helping people, so I realized I'm a servant leader, and being a realtor allows me to do just that.
I love that. And you're so diverse because...
Yeah, I am an enigma. You cannot figure me out. And I love that, because it's still some people up in here that's like, what? Yeah. You wouldn't believe it, but sometimes I say funny stuff and I laugh as if I didn't know it was coming.
Yes, I am so done with you. So let's speak on this podcast, that I've been waiting for you to be consistent with, but I ain't going to throw shade. Let's speak on this podcast that you started, and, the reasoning for starting the podcast and the transition on how we can check you out, because now you got to be consistent with me putting you in. Okay? Because we want to hear a little bit more about Yazzie. You're so knowledgeable, and you definitely dropped some gems. So let's talk about the podcast that you have going on.
First of all, thank you. You're very sweet. You're too kind. And I love you just the same, Shanira. So this podcast is about empowerment. It's me stepping into my purpose and stepping out of my fear. So one of the things I told you I struggled with was suppressing my voice. I did that a lot throughout my youth, because I was more concerned with the comfortability of others, rather than kind of doing things that way. So me starting the podcast was me kind of pushing myself to break free of that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I have a lot of things that I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm trying to save the world. I feel like that's really what it boils down to, because it's like, what are you trying to do here, honey? But I also don't want to spread myself too wide. I'm very careful about that. So the podcast has been what I have decided to kind of do at my leisure, so that I don't feel forced to maintain a consistency that I can't abide by. I don't want to do that to my audience. Mm-hmm. And I also want to make sure that I bring value and that I'm patient, because when I do decide, I'll be like, I want to talk about all these things, and I got to compartmentalize and organize, so I don't know if I have some investors and sponsors that want to help me, then, maybe we can talk about it, Shanira.
Well, hubby, he already in the comments, you're going to have to sponsor her so she can be consistent.
I know, I'm working on it. It's coming. It's coming. And I just want to make sure it's feasible for me and sufficient for you, and quite honestly, to bring myself to the masses is a tall order. I have purposely peeled back, so that I can pour into my children, develop myself. And when I'm ready, I'll present myself on a more consistent basis, or maybe when the opportunity presents itself, or when I get some balls, I don't know. We'll see which one of those things happen first.
I'm going to push you, but I think it's very important that you're pouring from a full cup, because I don't want you to go into a position where you do start the podcast and you're with juggling everything else. So I'm definitely going to be giving you those balance with you starting the podcast.
I appreciate it. Seriously.
And we definitely going to promote you when you transition into starting the podcast, because I definitely see good things for you in regards to that.
Thank you.
What is one thing or advice you would like to end with before we go into the comments and any questions?
Just to wrap up, maybe, to check yourself before you check other people. It doesn't matter what you want from others. It only matters what God wants from you. Be patient with yourself, have grace, but also have fortitude to move forward, and be kind to all of God's people. You are above none. Yeah. That's it.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic. I love it. I love it. Oh, Yazzie. Well, thank you so much for coming on Uncommon Women.
Yes,
Sharing your
thank you for having me. I feel so yes-tastic.
I do know you personally, but we ain't going to get into all that. We've been, for those that are tuning in, I guess we are going to get into that. For those that are tuning in, Yazzie's father and my father were best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And who would have known that we would build a relationship as adults? So I appreciate you. I love you.
I love you. I love you. I pray everything you touch turns to gold. You are magnificent. You really, really are. And thank you guys for having me and listening. God bless you.
Wait, we ain't done, girl. We ain't done. Where you going? Where you going?
I'm doing kisses.
So before we close out, there is one thing that we do ask all of our guest speakers. Yes. And that is, what makes you uncommon?
What makes me uncommon is I lean into my difference. I don't follow trends. I appreciate all that is you, your difference, your likeness. And I think that there is a beauty in being different. So I'm uncommon because I am not common, just not a common woman. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about me. It's the most beautiful thing about you, is the fact that you're uncommon. You are unlike any other. Yeah. And I don't know anybody like me. You know, the people up here don't know nobody like me too. They're like, yeah, girl, you are different.
It's the jewel, though. It's the jewel that makes you you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing. I love it.
And I love you. I love you.
I love you.
You know?
Let's check and see if we have any questions in regards to your testimony.
Oh my goodness.
Shout out to Tent of Life for joining in. Tyrone. Harvey was getting at me, talk about get her, Shanera. Shout out to hubby for coming on and supporting the podcast and his wife. I love it. I love it. Let's see who else. We have any other comments?
I hope not.
Alex had came on. He said, thank you for sharing those great insights.
Yay, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yes.
Let's see anything else.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I missed this one. So Harvey was talking about when he glided to you. But
He remembers. He remembers. He did.
The glide. I wish I could have seen the glide, Harvey. I wish I could have seen
I tried to paint the picture. Okay.
Well, thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Uncommon Women. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you know anyone that is out there that's interested in sharing their testimony, they're coming on our platform, please go to our website, uncommonwomen.net, fill out a form, and we'll be able to get them on season 7. Without further ado, we are transitioning because we are starting a podcast academy. So we are not going to be going weekly. We are actually going to be going the last Thursday of every month. So we will see you on March 28th. Make sure you mark your calendars at 7 p.m. We have an amazing testimony that's going to come on. Can't give you little details yet, but we have someone coming on March 28th to share her testimony. You do not want to miss that. And everyone, please remember to stay uncommon.
Amen.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've been shacking up with us for a while and haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? Please like and subscribe to Uncommon Woman so you won't miss another episode. And remember, don't let anything or anyone affect your peace. Good vibes and stay uncommon.